In this video, we'll be learning how to factor different types of polynomials, from the simplest common factor to difference of squares and trinomials. Let us start. For this example, 6x plus 9. Firstly, we always check for the greatest common factor or GCF between these two. So, the common factor, the GCF here would be 3. So, 6x divided by 3 would be 2x. 9 divided by 3 would be 3. So, this will be the answer, 3 multiplied by 2x plus 3. If you want to check, you can just multiply 3 multiplied by 2x, which would be 6x, and 3 multiplied by 3 would be 9. So, it is correct. 8x squared plus 12x. The greatest common factor between 8x squared and 12x would be 4x. And now, 8x squared divided by 4x would be 2x, plus 12x divided by 4x would be 3. Once again, check if it's correct. 4x multiplied by 2x would be 8x, and 4x multiplied by 3 would be 12x. So, the answer is correct. Let us start with more examples. For simpler methods, we will take the GCF for each variable. So, the GCF for 15 and 10 would be 5. And the GCF of x cubed and x squared would be x squared. So, the total GCF for these two would be 5x squared. 15x cubed divided by 5x squared would be 3x, minus 10x squared divided by 5x squared would be 2. Once again, check if it's correct. 5x squared multiply this by 3x, it would be 15x cubed, and 5x squared multiplied by negative 2, it would be negative 10x squared. So, we can conclude that this answer is correct. For this, 9a squared multiplied by b plus 6ab. First is to take the GCF of 9 and 6, which would be 3. The GCF of a squared and a would be a, and for b, just copy it because they are similar. So, 9a squared b divided by 3ab would be 9 divided by 3 is 3. A squared divided by a would be simply a, and b divided by b would be 0, so no need to put it. Plus 6ab divided by 3ab, it would be 2, simply 2, because a divided by a would be 0 and b divided by b would be 0. Once again, check. 3ab multiplied by 3a would be 9a squared b, and 3ab multiplied by 2 would be 6ab. Next is the difference of two squares. The pattern here would look like a squared minus b squared. So now, in this instance, x squared here is similar to a squared, and 9 here is b squared because it is a perfect square. Now, in order to know it, I will show you the perfect squares, which would be 3 squared here would be 9, which is this. 4 squared would be 16. 5 squared would be 25. 6 squared, which would be 6 times 6, it will be 36. 7 squared would be 49. 8 squared would be 64. 9 squared would be 81. And 10 squared would be 100. 2 squared would be 4, just in case. So now that we know to differentiate a difference of two squares, the form of this in order to factor would be a plus b multiplied by a minus b. So in this case, a squared here is x squared and b squared is 9. So assign values, a squared is x squared and a here would be square root of x squared is simply x. And b squared here would be 9. So square root of 9 would be 3, or you can just look it up in here. It is 3. So the factor of this would be the factor form of this would be x plus 3 multiplied by x minus 3. For this, it is a squared minus 16. The factor form of this would be a plus 4 because 16 here is 4 squared multiplied by a minus 4. Let us try some more examples. 4x squared minus 25. Let a squared here be 4x squared. So a here would be the square root of 4x squared. Now we will separate this in order to simplify. The square root of 4 would be 2 and the square root of x squared would be simply x. So the factor form of this would be 2x plus 25 here in this case is 5 squared. So put 5. It will be 2x plus 5 multiplied by 2x minus 5. For this, 9y squared minus 49. A squared here is 9y squared. And the square root of 9y squared here would be 3y. So the factor form of this would be 3y plus 49 here in this case is 7 squared. So it will be 3y plus 7 multiplied by 3y minus 7. Now, let's talk about perfect square trinomials. These are the special trinomials that come from squaring a binomial. In other words, it will be the form of a plus b raised to the power of 2 or a minus b raised to the power of 2. This comes from the form of a squared plus 2ab plus b squared or a squared minus 2ab plus b squared. So now, let's start with this first example, x squared plus 6x plus y. A in this case is x squared. 2ab here would be 6x and b squared would be 9. We can know that this is a trinomial by finding this. X squared is a perfect square. 9 is a perfect square which indicates as 3 squared, which is 3 times 3 equals 9. And now, we will find whether 6x is part of this by taking this formula 2ab, which would be 2 multiplied by a here would be x and b here would be 3, which would be 6x. So this matches this one. And now that we've confirmed that this is a special trinomial or a perfect square trinomial, we can now use this form of a plus b squared. So now the factor form here would be a here would be x plus b here would be 3 and just square this one. A squared minus 10a plus 25. A squared here is a squared. B squared here is 25, which is also a perfect square wherein it is 5 multiplied by 5. Now, let's use this form 2ab in order to find whether it is 10a or not. So it would be 2 multiplied by a here in this case would be a and multiply it by b, which is square root of 25, which is 5. 2 times 5 would be 10, and multiply this by a, it matches 10a here. Now that we have confirmed that it is a perfect square trinomial, we can now use this other form because it is a negative. So the factored form here would be a in this case is a minus b here in this case would be the square root of 25, which would be 5, and square this. So that will be the for this example 4x squared plus 12x plus 9. A squared here would be 4x squared, and b squared here would be 9. Now we will confirm whether 2ab here is 12x. So 2 multiplied by a, which is the square root of 4x squared, would be 2x, and multiply this by b, which is the square root of 9, which is 3. And now 3 multiplied by 2 would be 6, and multiply this by 12x, it would be 12x. So this matches 12x. Now once again, we've confirmed that this is a perfect square trinomial. Now we will use this form. So a here would be, once again, the square root of 4x squared. The square root of 4 would be 2, and the square root of x squared would be x, plus b, which in this case the square root of 9, which is 3, and just square this. For this, y squared would be a squared, and 16 would be b squared. And now let's see if 2ab here is equal to 8y. 2 multiplied by a here, which will be y, multiply this by square root of 16, which is b, which is 4. 2 times 4 would be 8, and multiply this by y, it would be 8y, which matches this. So now we will use this form a minus b raised to the power of 2, because it has negative in here. So the factored form would be a, which is 9, minus b, which in this case it is 4, and just square this. Let us start with trinomials, wherein a here is just simply 1, and it is not a perfect trinomial square, because 6 here is not a perfect square, and also 10 is not a perfect square. So now what we're going to do here is to find multiples of 6 that adds to 5. Multiples of 6 would be 1 times 6, 2 times 3, and 3 times 2, and so on. It's not and so on, but these are just the factors of it, that multiples of 6. And now, which of this will add to 5? 1 plus 6 would be 7. 2 plus 3 would be 5. So it is this 2 and 3. So now the factored form of this would be x plus 2 multiplied by x plus 3. For this, x squared plus 7x plus 10. First, we must find the multiples of 10, and that it adds to 7. So 1 multiplied by 10, 2 times 5, and that is just the multiple factors of 10. 1 plus 10 would be 11. 2 plus 5 would be 7. So it is 2 and 5 that will be the numbers. So it would be x plus 2 multiplied by x plus 5. Let us start with more examples. X squared minus x minus 12. So we're going to find the multiples of 12, and that it adds to 1, because this is automatically 1. So it would be negative 12 times 1, negative 6 times 2, negative 4 times 3. Or it could be the other way around. It would be negative 1 times 12, negative 2 times 6, or negative 3 times 4. 12 plus 1 would be 13. 6 plus 2 would be 8. Wait. I made a mistake. Negative 12 plus 1 would be negative 11. Negative 6 plus 2 would be negative 4. Negative 4 plus 3 would be negative 1. Negative 1 plus 12 would be 11. Negative 2 plus 6 would be 4. And negative 3 plus 4 would be 1. So what we're finding here is negative 1. So this will be it. So the factors of this would be negative 4 and positive 3. So the factored form of here would be x minus 4 multiplied by x plus 3. Let's start with this. X squared plus 2x minus 15. So now find the factor multiples of negative 15 again. It would be negative 15 times 1, negative 5 times 3, negative 1 times 5, and negative 3 times 2. I mean 5. So add this. Negative 15 plus 1 would be negative 14. Negative 5 plus 3 would be negative 2. Negative 1 plus 5 would be positive 4, and negative 3 plus 5 would be positive 2. So what we're finding here is positive 2. So this will be the factors of it. So the answer would be x minus 3 multiplied by x plus 5. Let us start with factoring trinomials, wherein a here in this case is not equal to 1 and also is not a perfect square trinomial. So what we're going to do first is to multiply a times c. A here in this case is 2 multiplied by c, which here is 3. So 2 times 3 would be 6. And now the next step would be to see the multiples of 6 that adds to the middle number, which is 7. So it is 6 times 1 equals to 6, and 6 plus 1 will be 7. So 6 and 1x or 6x would be your two factors that will replace this middle coefficient. So it would be 2x squared plus 6x plus, here is 1x or x plus 3. Now factor this. The factored form of 2x squared plus 6x would be 2x multiplied by x plus 3, plus the factored form of x plus 3 would be 1 multiplied by x plus 3. As you can see here, when you see these two and are similar, that means you're on the right track. And so the final answer here would be 2x plus 1, which would be 2x and positive 1, and multiply this by x plus 3. Let's start with this next example, which is 3x squared plus 5x minus 2. So multiply a and c, which is 3 times negative 2, which would be negative 6. And now find factors of multiple factors of negative 6, which adds to positive 5. It would be 6 times negative 1, which is negative 6. And so 6 plus negative 1 would be 5. So it would be 6x and negative 1x. So it will be 3x squared plus 6x plus negative x minus 2. Factor 3x squared plus 6x, which would be 3x multiplied by x plus 2. And the factored form of negative x minus 2 would be negative 1 multiplied by x plus 2. Once again, these two are similar, so you're on the right track. And so, the final answer would be 3x minus 1 multiplied by x plus 2. Let us continue on. 4x squared plus 11x plus 6. Once again, the first step would be to multiply a times c, which is 4 times 6. 4 times 6 would be 24. Now, find the multiple factors of 24 that will add to 11. The multiple factors of 24 would be 1 times 24, 2 times 12, 3 times 8, and 4 times 6. 1 plus 24 would be 25. 2 plus 12 would be 14. 3 plus 8 would be 11. So, 11 here matches here. So, our factors here would be 3 and 8. Or 3x and 8x. So, now, the factor would be 4x squared plus 3x plus 8x plus 6. And the factor 4x squared plus 3x, which would be x multiplied by 4x plus 3 plus the factored form of 8x plus 6 would be 2 multiplied by 4x plus 3. So you can see these two are similar once again. And now your final answer would be x plus 2 multiplied by 4x plus 3. Six x squared minus 5x plus 6. Let's multiply a times c, which would be 6 times negative 6, which is negative 36. And now, find multiple factors of negative 36 that will add to negative 5. The multiple factors of this would be negative 1 times 36, negative 2 times 13, 18 I mean, negative 3 times 12, negative 6 times 6, x, negative 4 times 4, 8. I mean negative 4 times positive 9. Six x squared minus 5x minus 6. First step would be to multiply a times c here, which would be 6 times negative 6, which would be negative 36. Now, find the multiples of negative 36 that will add to negative 5. The multiples of this would be 1 times 36, 2 times 18, 3 times 12, 4 times 9, and 6 times 6. This can be plus or minus. wherein if it's negative 1, it is positive 36, or if it's positive 1, it is negative 36. But yeah, that's just it. It can be reversible. So now what you're going to find here is adding to negative 5x. Now, negative 9 plus 4 would add to negative 5. So this would be the factors, negative 9x and positive 4x. So it will be 6x squared minus 9x plus negative 6 plus 4x. Or you can just reverse this, it will be 4x minus 6. The factor of 6x squared plus 9x would be 3x multiplied by x. It should be 2x minus 3 plus the factor of 4x plus 6 would be 2 multiplied by 2x minus 3. So the factored form of this would be 3x plus 2 multiplied by 2x minus 3. So this will be the final answer. Let us start with factoring by grouping. Now, this usually when there are 4 terms. So what you're going to do here is to group this into 2 parts. Group this first 2 into one group and group this last 2 groups into another group. So it would be like ax plus ay plus bx plus by. And now find the factor of ax plus ay, which would be a multiplied by x plus y, plus find the factor of bx plus by, which would be b multiplied by x plus y. And now the final answer would be a plus b, which this is a and b. And since these are common, it means you're on the right answer, which would be x plus y. One thing to indicate here if you're going on the right answer, if the factored form here inside the parenthesis is the same. Let's move on to this next problem. First is to group these 2 together and these 2 together, which will be 3x squared plus 6x plus 2x plus 4. So the factored form of 3x squared plus 6x would be 3x multiplied by x plus 2, plus the factored form of 2x plus 4 would be 2 multiplied by x plus 2. So the final answer here would be 3x plus 2 multiplied by x plus 2, which is this. X cubed plus 3x squared plus 2x plus 6. First is to group the 2 terms together. So it will be x cubed plus 3x squared plus 2x plus 6. So it would be the factored form of x cubed plus 3x squared would be x squared multiplied by x plus 3, plus the factored form of 2x plus 6 would be 2 multiplied by x plus 3. And now the final answer here would be x squared plus 2 multiplied by x plus 3. Wait, let me just rewrite this in here. The final answer would be x squared plus 2 multiplied by x plus 3. Now, for this problem, 2ab plus 3a plus 4b plus 6. Group these two. So it would be 2ab plus 3a plus 4b plus 6. Factored form of 2ab plus 3a would be a multiplied by 2b plus 3 plus the factored form of 4b plus 6 would be 2 multiplied by 2b plus 3. So the final answer here would be a plus 2 multiplied by 2b plus 3.